Welcome to Canada Week for the 1UP Superstar Series, and you know what that means. We are back at Road 1 International, the beautiful and picturesque nearly 5-mile road course in Quebec, with beautiful elevation change, all sorts of challenges for the drivers here today, and 42 of them are here to take on round number 14 of this incredible season that has produced many surprises up to this point. Will we see another one today, I wonder? Or maybe even more than that, over the course of the next 16 laps around beautiful Road 1 International. And alongside me in the booth to bring you all the action for today's brilliant day of racing is Jesse Turner, back with us for another race. It's our first time covering Road 1 together, and I'm so excited to have you see this for the first time. We've got 8 Canadian drivers in the field for this race, which I believe is a record for this event. And they're all looking for a great day here at home, but it's going to be hard to come by because Road 1 is treacherous in every sense of the word.
Oh, indeed. Appreciate getting the opportunity to call this race today in another new track that I'm checking out for the first time. It's great to be here in Canada in general. Me, myself, I didn't grow up too far from Ontario, Canada, so been to lots of races over there growing up. But yeah, this will be real great to check out a new track with a lot of new characteristics to it, and lots of other drivers specified in road courses. They'll look forward to this as an opportunity to get ahead here.
And boy, will they have a hard time in doing so, because Road 1, there's no shortage of chances to cause chaos here at this circuit. We've had so many accidents over the years here where just the slightest mistake can touch off a big pile-up, and all the elevation, the undulation, it can catch out even the most experienced drivers. We've seen that in the past as well. I'm curious to see who it might catch out today and who can survive it all at the end of 16 laps to score a much-deserved victory here at Road 1. But with that being said, we can now bring you the starting lineup for today's 16 laps of action. And for the second time this season, it is car number 31 on pole position. Stephen Hunter is off to a fantastic start to the weekend. Second in practice, first in qualifying, and he's looking to get his first win in over 5 years. It's going to be a really big deal if he can pull that car in the victory lane. It would be the first for Stormbreak Motorsports in the Superstar Series as well. Alongside him, Patrick Smith, a local, one of 8 Canadian drivers in the field today. He's the highest qualifying of the bunch, and wouldn't he love to get a popular home win in front of the crowd that would surely love to see him do so. Zachary Fitzwater, another strong qualifying effort from him on the road courses. He starts third, ahead of Cale Tescar Jr., Joshua Michaels, and the winner last time out at Minnesota, Julio Caesar in the 00. But there's so many other stories to keep our eye on over the course of these 16 laps. You can have a good run from anywhere, but qualifying is still of utmost importance, and nobody's got a better view of the front of the field than Stephen Hunter in the 31 today.
Oh, indeed. Yes, Hunter, as you mentioned, wanting to end that winless drought. We did see over at Dubai, Henry Thomas getting to knock the monkey off his back and go back to victory lane after so long. So the 31 of Hunter looking to replicate that, but obviously Patrick Smith, he's gone through a dry spell as well. Same with Zachary Fitzwater. So yeah, those top 3, even Cale Tescar Jr. in 4th, those will be good contenders to watch. But I also got my eye on the 90 of Cameron Brennan starting 11th, and also the points leader Miles Mashburn starting next to him in 12th. And also a lot of the other hometowners starting near the back of the field. Hopefully a few of them can make their way up there and not encounter any big problems along the way.
And we've seen a lot of problems over the years, sometimes as early as the approach to turn 1 on the opening lap. We'll see if that happens today. We'll see what else unfolds over the next 16 laps. But with that being said, we've got 42 of 1UP's finest ready to take on the ups and downs of Road 1 International, and we're ready to bring you the action over the next 16 laps. It's the 1UP Superstar Series, round number 14 of 2026 from Road 1 International, and the green flag set to get this great race underway, so stay tuned for that. Gonna be good. Field rolling out of the long sweeping turn 17 as they approach the start-finish line. It is Stephen Hunter on the pole. Patrick Smith alongside him, both looking for glory and victory at Road 1 International. The green flag is out. We're racing in the heart of Canada, and Stephen Hunter gets an amazing launch off the line. He's already cleared Patrick Smith, and he will lead the charge down in the turn 1. We've seen a lot of action here over the years. Nick Ortiz pops out further back. Caggiano does the same, but further back, Looks as though the front of the field is fairly neat and tidy through there.
Oh, no.
Oh, I saw trouble back there, and sure enough we do. It's Sam Donato in the 77 around. And the turn 1 gravel track. Ryan Griffin likewise off the track. He's struggling to keep it out of the wall. He does so, though. Brian Grigsby as well, with a significant amount of damage on the left side of that car. All 3 of those drivers started in the mid-pack. Something must have happened back there to get them all sideways.
Yeah, definitely sorry if I startled you at all, noticing that trouble breaking out of the corner of my eye. But, yeah, tough for the 77 and the 04. But Stephen Hunter and Patrick Smith looking to escape all the calamity, and as well as Grigsby in the 9. He got damaged in that ordeal as well. I saw as they all headed down to turn 1 how close side by side these guys were running, and I had a feeling in my gut that something was going to go awry, and sure enough it did for a couple guys.
And now we head onto the back straightaway. Look at the elevation here. One of the highlights of the circuit right here. This long up and down back straightaway. These guys cresting several hills on the way. Brehan Stojanovic in the 66 trying to nose out Jake McMillan in the 42 as they make the approach to turn 9. Looks like the 66 is going to get ahead on this occasion, but McMillan not wanting to give it up quite so easily as we round turn 10 and start the descent down the hill.
Yeah, we're way up high, up in the sky here in Canada, and now you see the long sweeping straightaway that these guys are going down, massive speeds, and you got to have your car under control when you get down to the bottom and make that turn. Hopefully all these guys and girls did just that. They can keep control of their cars. Looks like most of them have, and yeah, you see how fast they're going around that turn, but thankfully everyone's trying to keep it straight, and Stephen Hunter's trying to put a gap on the 22 of Smith.
And he's going to need to do that because he is a minnow in some very big fish here at Road 1. He's got all these powerful cars behind him, trying to get as big a lead as he can, and as they round turn 17 to complete the opening lap, it'll be Stephen Hunter. Out in front, we'll see what the margin is over Patrick Smith, just under half a second. So he's got a decent-sized lead, but it's not too big, and now Patrick Smith and Cale Teskar Jr. starting to work to try and catch him, and if they do, it might be game over because FPM and Revolution Racing, those are two very powerful teams in this series, and if they get a sniff of clean air out front, it's bad news for the rest of the field.
Yeah, one loser that I noticed up in the top 5, the 59 of Fitzwater. He started 3rd. He's fallen down a couple places to 5th. But Cale Teskar Jr., he's moved up into 3rd after starting 4th. And Julio Caesar, he's gained a couple spots too, going from 6th to 4th. And there's that 90 of Cameron Brennan right behind Miles Mashburn, running in about the 12th or the 13th spot. But now the lead trio of Hunter, Smith, and Teskar trying to distance themselves over Julio Caesar, who won just last time out in Minnesota. They're trying to get their own little separation and get away.
Making their way through the turn 7 and 8 chicane onto the back straight once more, and Hunter is not extending his lead out in front of the field. He might not be able to due to the disparity in power between the Mercedes engine in that 31 and the Ford and Toyota powertrains under the hoods of his nearest challengers. But back here, got a lot of racing to keep your eye on. And, looks like Bobo Jones, Hunter's teammate, in the one of our 8 Canadians in the field. He's had some sort of issue out on track. He's drifted all the way back to well off the lead pack, and he's going to have a lot of work to do to try and claw back that deficit.
Well, and I also saw the number 92 of Jeffrey Finguy. He was also stuck deep in the rear of the field as well. He started on row 7 for this race, but Finguy, the Cargialo winner, he also has found some difficulty early on in this race, but as well as the one of Bobo Jones. But now his teammate Stephen Hunter trying to show the way over Patrick Smith again. Little change in the top 5, but we got this side-by-side battle. Michael's trying to overtake Fitzwater, but the 59 is going to get the momentum out of the straightaway.
And Michaels has been in need of a good run as of late. He's mired deep in the points hole going into this weekend. He's not that close to making the chase at this point, and we don't have too many races left before that happens. So Michaels trying to do everything he can to claw back some points and in a big way. But up at the front, Hunter has led the opening 2 laps of this race so far, but he's got a lot of company back there. Patrick Smith and Cale Tescar Jr. trying to settle this out between themselves to see who's best fit to challenge Hunter out front. Because if they can dispatch the 31 quickly enough, they can make this a two-horse race between themselves.
Yeah, I saw as the lead trio was entering turn 3, I saw how wide they were taking that corner to get it right here. And now through the kink, heading into 5, Michaels tries to attack Fitzwater again for position, which will knock that 59 down another position. And up onto the what will eventually be that long straightaway up. They'll go into 6, 7, and 8, and then a lot of speed going forward as Smith may lose a position to Cale Tescar Jr., and he may, but we'll see what the straightaway brings as the 22 powers back.
Yeah, he got a good run out of the chicane, and now they are side by side up the hill. This is not good news for them because we've seen a lot of accidents here over the years when they get too close together, but they're able to keep their cars under them, sailing their way through turn 9 side by side. That's not something you see very often. And down in the turn 10, they remain in a tight-knit battle for the runners-up spot. But as they're doing so, Stephen Hunter is just pulling away from the two cars behind him. This is music to Stormbreak's ears. And for Hunter in particular, he's pulling out a huge gap. As wow, Tescar and Smith continue to go side by side through the chicane. That is so hard to do. But these guys are putting on an incredible show, even if it's just for second place.
Wow, how are those two even remaining side by side like that and not being able to come together? Wow, that is so surprising to me, but hats off to both Cale Tescar Jr. and Patrick Smith. That just shows the amount of skill they have and how much experience they got for being able to race like that and for not having any danger to happen. So props to Smith and Tescar. Like I'll pat them on the back for after this race no matter what happens. But while doing so, that did allow the 31 to Stephen Hunter to gap them by over 1.5 seconds at this point.
Yeah, that lead has really grown between Hunter and Patrick Smith, who has cleared Tescar for the runners-up spot. But at this point, they just need to put their differences behind them and start chasing after that 31 because he has pulled out all the stops to get a huge lead. As look at this, Devin Fair down the inside trying to get a position back from Ben McDonald. And those two continue to battle side by side through the flat-out turn 4. And this is another place where passing's a little iffy if these guys come together. We see an instance here too, as Brennan, similarly, on the attack against Jeffrey Finguy.
And my apologies for earlier. I noted the 92. It was actually the 02 of Ryan Griffin who I saw mired well back in the field. So Finguy, he's running a lot more up in the pack, thankfully for him. Sad for Griffin. But now we got Ben McDonald, Devin Fair, the 12 and the 21, trying to battle for a top 10 position. McDonald trying to take it, and he's going to with force. And I believe the 21's going to lose momentum, which may pave the way for Mashburn to take over P11.
Yeah, you want to have a really good run out of that chicane because it gives you such a good boost down the back straightaway, and you're going to need it to make a pass through here. Mashburn leaning on Fair as they go through turn 9. This is an incredible battle between the 72 and the 21, two of the main protagonists in the championship this season so far, but both have their work cut out for them to move further up the field, especially when they're battling like this. We saw this with Tescar and Smith earlier, and if these two keep battling like they are now, that could open the door for the likes of Finguy, Brennan, and Lane Sanders to all chase them down.
And now Fair will give way to the 72. Now Mashburn will successfully take over the 11th position, but Ben McDonald, once they get to the line, should inherit the 10th spot when they reset. But now the spot teammates of Brennan and Sanders battling, along with Jensen Nomina looking on the two of them in the distance. And I thought Brennan, he might have put up more of a threat today than anywhere because he's known to be well on the road courses. He did get the Super Speedway win at Talladega. He's had some good runs, but I thought he'd be more of a threat today for this win, but it's not coming together for him right now.
And look who's right alongside him now, his old teammate Jensen Nomina. These two have quite a history and quite a habit of finding each other on the racetrack in situations like this. They were banging doors going into turn 1, and it looks like Nomina is able to clear the 90 going through turn 2 and heading for the hairpin of turn 3. And look at this, Zayden Davidson is right on them, as is Cody Goforth, and several others behind as well. This is a great battle shaping up between all these guys, and this isn't even for one of the top positions. This is for the likes of about 14th on back. So impressive stuff for these guys. They're battling for every spot possible on the racetrack, and it's paying off for them. They're getting positions at every opportunity, but up at the front, I noticed Patrick Smith closed that gap to Stephen Hunter by about 3/10 on the last lap. That 31 starting to lose his advantage.
Yeah, likely so. And one driver who I don't see in the top 10 anymore is Zachary Fitzwater. I wonder if something may have occurred to the 59 and we didn't see it, but he is no longer running in the top 10, let alone the top 5. I wonder if he had a problem on track or whatever on that machine.
There he is. I see him right there.
Oh.
Right at the back of your shot. There he is, right behind this side-by-side battle between Nick Ortiz and Logan Williams, who almost banged doors themselves going into turn 9. But you're right. Fitzwater was running in the top 10 about a lap or two ago, and now he is mired all the way back outside the top 20. So something must have happened to that 59. We'll get you a look at that once the checkered flies, as is the case with all our road course races. But tough circumstances for Zachary Fitzwater, who had a top 3 qualifying effort today, and now he is mired in the midfield.
Yep, you just hate to see that for Fitzwater. He doesn't have many opportunities like this that come around often, and you know, as a driver with his caliber and experience, you got to relish every opportunity to get. So hate that slipped away from him right there. But a couple cars behind, here's one of the hometowners, or the home countrymen, Joseph Srigley, out of the several that we have in this race. Oh, Zachary DeLello with a little bit of damage. Oh, spin!
And it's Thomas. Henry Thomas hard into the tire pack at turn 16. That is going to be our first retirement of the race. A big crash for the Dubai winner, Henry Thomas, his second consecutive DNF after that big win at Dubai. Tough break for the 16. He was doing such a pretty good job running inside the top 15, and now it's come to nothing.
Oh, man, that's so shocking for Henry Thomas. He had to have gotten some help, I'm sure, heading into that turn where those tires were, and definitely significant contact. I hope he's okay and he's able to, talk with the safety team and get it out of the car. But now we go up front. Joshua Michaels, he just took a position ahead away from Julio Cesar. Stojanovic up there in the top 10 as well. Cameron Brennan nearly gets into Jensen Nomina, but looks like that 90 might steal that position away from the 62. But they're going to battle side by side and bring Zayden Davidson into the mix as well.
And I wouldn't count out Cody Goforth or Emma Kruger from that conversation as well. These 5 cars all close together in their fight for what looks to be 13th through 17th on the road. As Davidson now takes a look to the inside of Jensen Nomina in their battle for what will be 14th. And Davidson's looking for some good results. He's had a few of them this year, but probably not as many as he'd want if he wants to stay at Revolution Racing, which I'm sure he does. But he wants to win races. He's only got the one in that 4 car up to this point. That came at Hanford 2 years ago. So he is looking for a return to victory lane in a big way, and he's battling Nomina down the hill side by side for 14th place.
And again, so hopefully these guys have learned a thing or two from Smith and Teskar in their side-by-side battle, and they're still maintaining it. I'm just shocked at that section of the track. That's a very risky area of the racetrack to stay side by side. But again, pat on the back to all those drivers making it work. But now, as of this lap, right here, the 93 of William Brock with problems.
We're hearing he had a tire go down on that 93 that brought him to a standstill. The Genesis engineering team hard at work trying to get that 93 back out there as soon as possible. But that's his race, well, at least his competitive showing, done for the afternoon. And that's a tough break for William Brock, as he's fighting to get back into the top 30 in owners' points, and this is not going to help him in that effort whatsoever. Meanwhile, though, Patrick Smith has been gaining time hand over fist in his efforts to catch Teskar. As look, Aaron Hall's on pit road now with some significant damage to the 19. I'm curious how that one may have brought itself into the picture. But now the 19 on pit road for an extended period of time as well. This is another car that was hovering around the top 30 in owners' points cut line, and this is not going to help him whatsoever in that effort.
Yeah, Aaron Hall, after the great effort that he had at Minnesota, where he ran in the top 10 for a good portion of that one, it's a much different story for him this afternoon here in Canada. But yeah, William Brock with problems. He didn't need that for the owner point situation. And now here's Hunter, Smith, Teskar, and Joshua Michaels did officially claim the 4th spot away from Julio Cesar last time by. Then we got Stojanovic, McMillan, McDonald, Mashburn, lots of M's in a row right there, and Evan Fair completing the top 10. But now it's been Stephen Hunter's race the entire way. He's been very sharp when it comes to navigating this track, and thankfully with him being away from all the calamity behind him, he's been able to have the best opportunity to focus and hit his marks out of everyone, and this is paving the way for what could be a great day for that 31 organization for the Storm Break, guys.
I'm sure this is a really big deal for them. This is the most laps of a race. Well, maybe not the most laps of a race, but this is the most laps in comparison to the entire race distance that they've ever led in their time in the Superstar Series. If he can lead another 2 laps, he'll claim the most laps led bonus point all to himself, and that's important because he's another one that's close to the top 30 battle. Is Stephen Hunter. He fought his way in a couple weeks ago. He stayed there ever since, but I'm sure that's the farthest thing from his mind right now. He wants to win this race. It would be his first since 2021. It would be the Storm Break team's first in the Superstar Series. It'd be Mercedes' first in the Superstar Series. A lot of firsts on the line today if Stephen Hunter can get the job done, but he's losing time to Smith and Teskar behind him. That's a big deal as Stojanovic slams into the side of Julio Cesar in their battle for a spot in the top 5.
You mentioned all those firsts that could happen. How about a first potential top 5 for Braden Stojanovic? But of course, Julio Cesar, he's making him work for it. And you can't count out the 42 of McMillan also.
Ooh, we got more on pit road. DeLello's on pit road, and so is Brian Grigsby. They might be taking an early pit stop here to try and get some of that damage buffed out, get an undercut possibly on the rest of the field, see if they can make some headway in the later stages, because I think we're in the window now where these guys could make it to the end if they so wished, but this is really early for them to be doing that at a place where the undercut is not all that particularly powerful. But going back to what you're saying about Brahan Stojanovic, it's been a while since we've seen him in this series. Of course, he has a win previously. He got a huge upset at Talladega several years ago for a different team, but he doesn't get to race this car all that often, and he's taken every opportunity he can and run with it. This is his second start of the season. His first was a 20th place finish at Texas, but this is his first road course appearance of the season for Robbers Racing, and he's doing a phenomenal job given the lack of seat time in that car.
Indeed, great to see out of that number 66 bunch. We've seen it be a successful road car with a series of drivers rotating behind the wheel. Eric DeMax in particular, who won out at Silverstone, and Paul Villalobos, who got the win at Hillside. So it's a race-winning machine that a lot of these rookies have gotten to pilot. So Braden Stojanovic feeling fortunate to seize this chance to have a great day. And so far, he's running P6. But we are going to conclude the first half of this race when Hunter gets back to the finish line. And we saw DeLello and Grigsby make early pit stops. I wonder if that could be a sign that these other guys may start pitting here.
I would expect the leaders to try and come in around lap 9 or 10 to try and guarantee themselves to get to the end. But you just never know at a place like this. One minor correction on the 66 car. Eric DeMax did win at Silverstone, but that was with Ventum Motorsport in car number 61. So Robbers Racing with Paul Villalobos' win at Hillside. That's what they've got for that 66. But up at the front of the field, Stephen Hunter's gap is practically gone. Smith and Teskar working in lockstep to try and chase down that 31 Sony Mercedes that's led the entire way so far. But I wouldn't be surprised if the pit stops has something to do with this, because there's nothing really to gain by pitting early here, unless you want a clearer pit road on your stop. But the goal here for these guys at Road 1 is try and extend the fuel as long as you possibly can. Pit at the last moment, just so you can keep pumping in lap times, because if you can stretch your fuel long enough, it'll pay dividends in the long haul.
Of course, yep, and you gotta be careful to not cross that border as well to run out of fuel trying to go as far as you can on this first run. And of course, that's in the back of these crew chiefs' minds and their teams. So with the right strategy, as well as the right track position, good things can happen for you. And it'll be up to each of these teams to make sure that they get the best possibility for their drivers. And as we go across the top of the hill, we'll look to make our way back down. Again, all cars except the 16 of Henry Thomas still on the racetrack. And the 93 of William Brock, he's been stuck on pit road for a while. But Hunter leads them down the hill towards turn 11 and 12.
And the thing about it as well, if you run out of gas here, depending on where you do it, you might not make it back. Because this racetrack is nearly 5 miles long. And with a lot of elevation change, it could help you, but it could also really hurt if you run out going up the hill instead of down it. So that's another thing to play into these crew chiefs' minds as they try and make their strategies to perfection. But notice here, Stephen Hunter's starting to pull a bit of a gap out once again. It looks to be over half a second now between Smith and Teskar, because they're starting to get a bit itchy back there. The 22 and 51, they want to try and challenge the 31, but they need to figure out who's got the best car to do it, because right now, neither of them are looking too strong right now, fighting amongst themselves.
Yeah, we are going on lap 10 right now. I see the 42 of McMillan try and make a move on Caesar. That's the only side-by-side battle that we really see. But Teskar, he knows he's got a good car, but the 22 of Smith is in his way. He just needs to find a way to dispose of Patrick Smith first before he challenges Stephen Hunter. But now Joshua Michaels, he's crept up onto the top 3 to try and make it a 4-way fight for the lead.
And Stojanovic isn't too far behind either. He's only a second and a half behind Michaels, and he's got clean air. So if he can catch the back of this group, he could be a factor before too long. But we're on to lap 10 now, and I think this is around the time when a lot of cars are thinking about making their pit stops. I would expect that cycle to start go between laps 10 and 12. That's usually when it happens here. But when you come in and how much traffic you'll have to deal with coming out, that's going to be a big factor, because the field spread's quite high here. And if you come out in a pack of traffic, that's just going to kill your out lap.
Oh, indeed. You want to make sure your pit entry and exit is the cleanest it can be. And I do see William Brock has gotten back onto the racetrack after that flat tire that he occurred out there. But we may not have to worry about cars like Zachary DeLello, Brian Grigsby, Aaron Hall. They've all made their pit stops, but again, they're just so far behind that it may not equal out for them as well as they would have liked to. Again, the 08 and the 9 did have damage that they had to repair as well. But the top 4 trying to remain in the draft in this fast descent down here to the chicane right here in turn 12. And then we'll just have to see if this will be the lap that they'll pit or if they might dare to try and go another one.
William Brock is back in the race. He is 3 laps down and out of the mix for anything substantial in this race. But the leading group make their way through turn 15 onto the short straight before 16 and 17. And it's going to be the moment of truth right here. Will any of the leaders come down this time? Looks like Stephen Hunter might be thinking about it. No, he stays out another lap. So we've got all the leaders staying out on lap 10. This is very important, because if anyone runs out at any point, they are going to be in a world of hurt for the remainder of the day, because like I said, this track is so long. It's the longest we go to across any of our series. So running out of gas at any point after this, especially on the back straight going up the hill, that is going to be a death sentence for your race.
Oh, indeed. Yeah, since that's such a long uphill track to negotiate. And I'm curious, even though we aren't looking at pit road yet, I wonder if some guys in the back of the field have taken the chance to make their pit stops and secure their fuel window to the end of the race. We'll have to get a report on who has come down yet, if anybody. But so far, the entire top 10 risking it for the biscuit to try and get a good fuel run here and make a last few lap sprint to the checkers.
I don't think anybody's come down on this lap. We would have seen it on our relative if we had. But Michaels has caught the back of the leading 4, and Greg Stojanovic is gaining bits of time as well in the 66 from his position. He's got clear air on that car, and he's getting a slight draft off his teammate and Michaels. So if he can get up to this group, I'm very excited to see what that 66 can do in a battle for the win. Because like I said, he doesn't get a lot of these, but when he does, he makes the most out of all of them. Making our way through turn 9, hard into the hairpin of 10. Smith right on the tail of Stephen Hunter as we drop down the hill once again. This is going to be a great fuel-saving spot, just letting it coast down the hill if you need to. But I think this is around that point in time when a lot of crew chiefs' feet are tapping on the pit boxes, a lot of itches being scratched here today.
Yeah, for sure. We're only a few turns away from us finding our answer. Michaels goes a little bit wide. Yeah, he went a little bit wide off that corner exit. Now here comes Hunter into the final right hand of turn 16 and then turn 17. We're going to get our answer in a little bit of time here.
Yep, there he is. He's making the trip. So Hunter commits to his first and only pit stop of this race. Everybody else stays out. Game on at the front of the field. Patrick Smith takes over the lead of the race, his first lead of the day. Hunter has come down pit road. He probably needed to because he burned a lot of fuel leading this race. A lot of other cars on the way down. I saw Devin Fair come in. There's Zachary Fitzwater. I saw a few others ahead of him. Logan Williams on his way down pit road. So this is going to be interesting. We see Crown coming in as well, and a few others further back. There's Davidson, Brennan, Devin Fair, Julio Caesar. They're all on pit road. Now the question becomes, as it looks like everybody's going to take fuel only, no big surprise there. The lap times weren't falling off that much. But the question now becomes, will it be more of a benefit to pit later or to pit with a clearer pit road? Because look at the traffic. Stephen Hunter has got not too far ahead of him, and he's going to have to try his best to not catch that group. But if he does that, that's going to cost him time on the outlaps. So this is a very tough situation for that 31 car.
Indeed. Jeff Bolton, Ryan Reed, Austin Liane, and I know a few other drivers at the back of the field. That is who is ahead of the 31 of Hunter. So he'll just have to be careful if he does catch him, and he can just work his way around him and try and get the fastest lap he can possible. But that is also on the minds of these other drivers that stayed out. Even though Hunter crossed the line and ate that time by, he's still well back in the field now after pitting. But Finguy and Sanders, they also wrap up the top 10. And now what's important is Stojanovic and also Jake McMillan. They have also reeled in this top trio of Smith, Teskar, and Michaels. So maybe they can throw their names into the conversation for this win, perhaps.
Going to be fun to watch, because I would be very surprised if we didn't see everybody else who stayed out this time make the trip to pit road on the next go-round. Because you saw Stephen Hunter, he was catching a little bit towards the back of the field, but not by as much as I'm sure he would have wanted. Now, Patrick Smith leading the way towards turn 16. I would be very surprised if they didn't all come to pit road this time. Through 16 we go, and yes, here they come. Smith is in. Teskar, Michaels, Stojanovic. It's feeding time at the pit lane here at Road 1. Everybody else is making their trip down pit road. I would be very surprised if anybody stayed out from this point, and so far it doesn't look like anybody is. So now we need to look for Stephen Hunter. Where is he on the racetrack compared to all these cars on pit road? Will he get ahead of all of them, or will that early pit stop be his downfall today?
Yep. And these guys trying to be quick with fuel in their cars. The pit crew's trying to be fast as they can. There goes the 22 and the 51.
There's
just
Hunter,
about everybody
right.
comes out in Euston. Here comes the 31. Is he going to steal the lead back?
Well, let's see. He's cleared Michaels. He's going to clear Teskar. Well, maybe not. He's going to be side by side with Teskar through turn 1. I think Patrick Smith's in the good here ahead of Stephen Hunter, unless Hunter gets these tires warmed up. His tires are plenty warmed up, but the 22 and the 51, they still got to heat them up a little bit. That could give Hunter an opportunity to take the lead back. But for right now, Patrick Smith did his job perfectly, and he continues to lead with now 4 laps to go at Road 1.
Well, awesome job by Patrick Smith and Cale Teskar, and for their crews just getting them out as fast as they could. But it looks like Hunter, his strategy may come up one spot short, but he's going to challenge the 22 here.
He needs to make this move stick, and he needs to make it happen now. Because once Smith and Teskar get their tires warmed up there, and he doesn't make this pass stick, oh man, he just misses out there. And now he's going to be in a rough position going through the chicane He's got the inside line there, but that cost him his exit, and Teskar sailed through and up into second place. So with 3.5 laps to go, Stephen Hunter, the longtime leader of this race, is going to have to do a big job of catching up now. He's got to pass 2 of the best cars here if he's going to win his first race in 6 years.
Oh, what a rough scenario for Stephen Hunter. He was definitely between a rock and a hard place before getting onto the back straightaway. He was on the inside, and Teskar was in the preferred line, and Hunter just could not pick on the throttle to keep his speed up, and that hurt him on the exit heading onto the back straightaway. But now he is instead of playing on defense, he's got to be on offense now. A whole new mentality switch for the 31. He's got to readjust his mindset and readjust his plan. How can he attack Teskar and Smith to try and get that lead back of what he held for so long in this race?
But here's the thing now. Nobody's got to worry about fuel. So this is now just a straight fight to the finish between Patrick Smith, who has inherited the lead of this race through a brilliant strategy call, and now he's starting to pull away from Cale Teskar Jr. But Stephen Hunter's not out of this thing yet, not by a long shot. Let's see what the gap is at the start-finish line, coming to 3 laps to go. There it is. Between them, only a second separates the top 3. This is a big opportunity for Hunter to try and make some ground. And here comes Brehan Stojanovic, the Serbian, trying to get a move made on his teammate Joshua Michaels. Nothing doing there, but that has demonstrated the 66, and how he is not willing to play friendly with teammates today. He wants to get as high a finish as he can in such limited opportunities. I don't blame him one bit.
Of course, great for Stojanovic. I mean, you got to at least do something to get your opponents off their game, even if they are your teammate like Joshua Michaels. He wanted to just go to the inside to try and scare that 6 car into a mistake, but Michaels was able to hold his own over Stojanovic. But now we're still taking a look at Stephen Hunter, the only Stormbright car in the top 10. Again, that whole team winless throughout their entirety of the Superstar Series. You got James Ellison, he's running good in 15th right there. And now Hunter, he'll have to follow that 51 tight onto this back straightaway, try and get the draft so they can both reel in Patrick Smith.
And the irony of it all, Stephen Hunter drove that 51 car for the better part of 2.5 seasons. He knows how that team operates. It's gone for a few drivers since then, but now he's hounding the back of Cale Teskar Jr. to try and get second place back, and he needs to make this move done as soon as he possibly can, because the longer he leaves it, the more time that allows Patrick Smith to build a lead, and the less time Hunter will have to try and claw it all back.
Yep, and I'm sure unless they get a magical run, the time gap is only going to grow unless the 51 and 31 decides who's going to be second, who's going to be third. But Hunter just choosing to remain tight on the rear bumper of Teskar. Not sure if that's a wise move or not. It looks like Teskar, I mean, even though he's in a more preferred position, he's just not able to reel in on the 22 of Smith. So it could be, in another possible 2 laps, it might be another road course win for Fingai Saitomi Motorsports. We'll have to find out in 2 more laps' time.
I don't think it was Stephen Hunter's choice to stay behind Cale Teskar Jr. The 51's just doing such a good job blocking, but Hunter has got a huge run down the front straightaway, braking hard for turn 1. He's going to be side by side with his old ride out of turn 1. They're going to be side by side, but once again, Teskar's got the momentum out of the corner through the flat-out kink of turn 2, and then once they get to the hairpin, Teskar's back clear. But look at this. Look at all the cars queuing up behind Stephen Hunter. Michaels is there. Stojanovic is there. McMillan is there. This is by no means a foregone conclusion.
Yeah, we might just have 6 cars in the race for this victory, but we are approaching a lap and a half to go. Hunter had the chance going into 1. He might seize a chance right here, but no, Teskar's going to shut the door on him. But Hunter is determined.
He forces that door open down into turn 5. Hunter trying to take that tighter line through, but once again, Teskar's got that wider exit, which he can use now to his advantage. And now he's going to have the preferred line through the chicane as well. And this is going to put Joshua Michaels in a pretty good position, I would imagine. Out of the chicane, Hunter's got to take a tighter exit. Michaels pulls alongside. This is the fight for the final spot on the podium. Up the hill they go. Michaels and Hunter, side by side. They're getting awfully close. They're leaning on one another. They're banging doors. They're in the wall. A big crash up at the top of the hill, and they're collecting the entire top 5 behind them. Hunter around. Stojanovic and Michaels into the wall. Drama and calamity in the final 2 laps, and it's all blown this race wide open.
Oh, a crazy turn of events for Michaels, Stojanovic, and Hunter fighting for 3rd place. Oh, and it's all come awry with a lap and a half to go. That is just tragic for those 3 drivers having their runs end like this.
Stephen Hunter still going. He's going to try and get the best finish he can, but his hopes of a first win since 2021 are gone. Stojanovic with a battered car. Michaels with the same. They're just trying to nurse it back to the pits. But now look at this. We've got Nomina trying to fight his way past them. Nick Ortiz as well. Zachary Fitzwater's there. They're holding up everybody behind them. So we're coming to the white flag. This race has been thrown into chaos in the final few laps. Michaels rides the curb to try and get a run. But Patrick Smith's on his way to the white flag in this race. We've got 1 lap remaining from Road 1 International. The field streaming by. Oh my goodness. Oh, and we got a bigger crash.
Oh, no.
In the 16, it's the robbers cars again with Nick Ortiz. I think that was just a matter of those cars just trying to nurse it back. They got in the way too much, and Nick Ortiz, after such a strong run, just an innocent bystander. That's going to rule Michaels and Stojanovic out of the race. That's rules out 2/3 of the Robbers Racing Group, who are having such a strong day. But all through it all, Patrick Smith with a 1.2-second lead with just under a lap to go.
And take a look at this. Jake McMillan, he has now gone from 6th to 3rd through that whole ordeal. He was able to get by those 3 cars. And basically everyone in the top 10 was able to get ahead 3 positions, which means you got Jeffrey Finguy in the top 10, Lane Sanders, Emma Kruger rounding it out in the 70. Cameron Brennan in 11th. There's Ellison and Hunter, the 2 Stormbreak teammates. I'm surprised Hunter's even going to be in contention for a top 15, but dang, you just can't help but feel for him, and he knows he had a real shot to get this victory today.
This was his best shot in 5 years, and it's all come to naught. He'll be lucky, like you said, to hang on to a top 15 with the damage he's got. But up the hill for the final time, you can see the skids on the racetrack. That tells the tale right there. But despite all the calamity at the end of this race, you got to tip your hat nonetheless to the Red Bull Ford of Patrick Smith. He has not put a foot wrong all day long today, and as he descends down the hill for the final time, he's on pace for a hometown win that he is going to savor probably more than any other race on the schedule. Through the chicane for the final time, Finguy Saitomi Motorsports, they prize themselves in being race winners year in, year out. And Patrick Smith, well, he didn't win a race last year, despite being in arguably the best team on the grid. That had to have weighed on his mind a little bit. He's about to put that all to bed, though. Down in the turn 16 for the final time. He's just got 1 more braking zone to navigate, and here it is. Through turn 16 for the final time. It has been a long time since Patrick Smith's been to victory lane, but it's going to be a win, and a hometown win for the 22 of Patrick Smith. He wins it at Road 1.
Oh, and I see Jensen Nomina. He's had a big issue as well. Lots of damage to his car.
A huge crash. Yeah, huge crash for Nomina. He was running in the top 15 as well. Disaster for the 62 at the end. Oh my goodness, this race has been thrown into absolute pandemonium at the end, and the best summary of that can be found in the car that brought it home 13th, Stephen Hunter. Man, he started on pole. He led 10 laps of this race, over half of it, was on pace for a big win, and it all came undone in the end. But for Patrick Smith, what a job he did to get a big win at home, and this is probably going to mean more to him than any other win he's gotten in his career. Fitzwater with a lot of damage on that 59 car. He fell back at the end too. I wonder if he and the 62 had a bit of a moment there. But we're looking now through the field here. Tip of the hat as well to Joseph Shrigley. He doesn't make these races all that often, but this is a home race for him too. He brings it home 21st. His best finish of the year by far. And Ryan Griffin, remember, he was in that turn 1 fracas at the opening corner, and he brings it home in the top 20, despite this being a track he doesn't like very much. But man, Patrick Smith has driven this race to sheer perfection, and there's not much you can really say other than that. We'll get you looks at what happened to all of these massive accidents we had today. It was no different than many of the other incidents we had at Road 1 over the years, and this year was no exception. We'll get you a good look at those in just a short while the rest of the field makes their way down to the pit lane. So this was the run down to turn 1 for Sam Donato, and we know how this one ends, don't we? Look at that, banging doors with Christian Vargas into turn 1, tries to file back in line. Ryan Griffin was already there, and believe it or not, this was one of the more minor incidents we had all day, so that sets the tone for the rest of the race, as Grigsby also, this is where he got his damage as well. Lap 4 of the race now, and this is where Zachary Fitzwater had the first of his many incidents today. Not really his doing there. That was Ben McDonald just not clear on the 59, and I guess that set back Oceania relations back a few years in that incident right there for the 59.
Running in the top 5 too, especially a tough break for Fitzy. Of course, this was not the only incident that he would be a part of today.
And this was the lap after with Henry Thomas. And is it another Fitzwater car that touches this off? You bet it is. Ryan Caggiano sends it to a... Wow, that was a big slide into the tire barrier at turn 16 for Henry Thomas, and big impact as well. Certainly glad he's okay, but that was a big hit for the Dubai winner.
And it just nearly took out the number 3 of James Ellison. He just avoided getting collected by the spinning 16.
Onto the white flag lap now, and coming down the hill, it was Jensen Nomina and Zachary Fitzwater, kind of like what I predicted. Ooh, and it's another hook from the 59. Ooh, big shot. That's probably even a bigger hit than Henry Thomas had, because there was no tire barrier to save him from that.
Oh, definitely a painful looking hit for that 62, but good news is he was able to climb out all right, and but still not a good ending to his day anyway.
And this was the big one, wasn't it? Coming to the white flag, and it was a battle for third place. Stephen Hunter and Joshua Michaels. I think the 6 just left the 31. Not quite enough room. They come together, and Brahan Stojanovic was just a victim in that. Good job from Jake McMillan to weave his way through, but devastating for Roberts Racing and Stormbreak Motorsports. All of their contending cars wiped out in this.
Especially for 2 of the Roberts cars and Stojanovic and Michaels, but just hard racing for a top 3 position, just didn't give enough room, and that was the end result.
So you can see here, a little bit later on in the lap, Stojanovic and Michaels just doing whatever they can to get out of the way of these intact cars. Well, I say intact, they probably won't be for much longer. And yeah, 3-wide maneuver into turn 16 with a damaged car, that's never going to go well. And yeah, tough break for Nick Ortiz. He doesn't get many good runs these days anymore, and he was on pace for one today. Not so much now. But a disaster for Roberts Racing and Stormbreak Motorsports has opened the door for Fingai Saitomi Motorsports and Patrick Smith to score a very popular win at home.
That's right, and again, it's another win on the road course this year for Fingai Saitomi as Patrick Smith joins Jeffrey Fingai with his win at Karjala, and Ryan Griffin with him getting a win at Las Vegas. So the entire Fingai Saitomi trio going to victory lane this season in the 1UP Superstar Series, and just Patrick Smith and that whole crew and all of his friends and family members and his sponsors that came out to watch him here today in his home country. They'll all be singing "Oh Canada" loud and proud this afternoon.
Well said, for sure, after an incredible day of racing at Road 1, but really, what else do you expect when we head here? But that does it for us from Road 1, from Jesse Turner, and from myself as well. Thanks for joining us for an epic day of racing in Canada. We head back to the States for the rest of the season, starting with race number 15 next week, and what a big race that is. It is the Brickyard 400 at Indianapolis Motor Speedway, one of 1UP's crown jewels. That is always a treat, year in and year out as well. I'm looking forward to seeing who could go out and kiss the bricks next time we head there. It's going to be a lot of fun for everybody involved. But until we see you at the famed Indianapolis Motor Speedway, so long from Road 1. And while we offer commiserations to Stephen Hunter, who lets an opportunity go at the dying moments, big congratulations are regardless in order for Patrick Smith, who for the first time in a year and a half is back in victory lane, this one probably meaning more than any other he's gotten so far.